As Hans Olsen has moved on to the corporate world, we're looking for the next great Utah sports radio talent.
There's something for everyone.
While we do that, you get stuck with this guy.
Hey, everybody, here's our star.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, folks, let's get it. I am fired up for this. This man has been patiently waiting for a chance to unleash hell on this market. For 13 years, he's been on the sidelines, programming stations across the country, but deep down, he's been aching to get back here in Utah and let his voice be heard. Folks, I present to you the great Kevin Graham. KG, how are you?
Scotty G, Lloyd behind the glass. I am excited to be with you guys. Very excited to be with you. And by the way, RIP to Hans. Good luck to you in the real world. I'm curious to see how you do. I love Hans, by the way. Hans, by the way, owes me many residuals of checks.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like an arena football league player when I think you did the voice of the Blaze for a while.
Yeah,
So remember the Utah Blaze back in the day? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then Hans was like, I don't know, he was like a star on the Utah Blaze. And you know Hans. He knows how to play the game well and butter people up. And next thing you know, I'm like, Hans is like, I don't think I want to do this arena football league thing anymore. I'm like, hey, let's get on the radio. This is after the defects, the defections of PK and DJ PK, yourself and others.
Let's just leave DJ. Yeah, let's keep it with DJ and PK. That's all. That's all that we really need to focus in on.
Oh, whatever, Scotty. You were the first to defect from the old zone. Then you took DJ and PK. And then all I wanted to do was a show, right? And then suddenly I was thrusted into management again on the zone. And then I had to find a new morning show, hence Hans and then the great John Lund. And then, honestly, it actually profited for all of us there for a while.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways, I can't really complain.
Yeah, you shouldn't be complaining. I think and Gordon needed to give you about 5% too.
Yeah, exactly. Gordon Monson, of course, my co-host and a good friend. And, those were the good old days of the radio industry. We had a nice little 5-year run there.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Yeah, but it's been 13 years since, and it's at least since the last time. I mean, yeah, that was the second stint I had in Utah. The first stint was in the 90s. Those were the glory years. That's when David Law.
Kevin.
There we go. Thank you. Oh, man, I can only imagine the drops that we're going to have. In fact, I know some of the drops we have because Lloyd sent them to me like a year ago, and he's like, man, we couldn't even play 75% of these nowadays. I'm like, yep, you're 100% right on that. So, yeah, I listened. I'm like, oh. I said that. Okay, that's not good.
Whoops.
I should not have done that. Yeah, that poetry thing should not have. Nope. That wouldn't work these days.
Hey,
but no.
Can we bring? I mean, is Quoof? We can still use that, right?
No, we're not doing that.
Come on,
we're not bringing that
Wait a
back.
second. As we're watching women play hockey in the gold medal game against Canada right now, we should not bring back Quoof from the 90s. All right, it was a different era, everybody. Do not cancel me. I was just having a good time. It was just simply keep women out of football, make it our game, and I was known for that for a while, and that doesn't age well. No.
For some
not
reason,
age well.
hey.
But that era that David hired me, and we created the first 1320K fan with the Jazz, and of course the Jazz went on to the finals 2 straight years and had a blast, and then that's when I took off. I started jaunting around the US of A, and then 7 years later, that's when I met with you, Scotty, and we did the show with Gordon, and I replaced Bowler Jack, a legend, and here's another, and Lloyd, I don't know if you know this, and I don't even know if Scotty remembers this. Scotty was our producer at first, and he lasted 2 weeks with me. He was like, I'm out.
You guys didn't get along?
No, we got along, but I was a little intense, maybe slightly intense. And yeah, Scotty was like, yeah, I think I'm going to go produce DJ and PK. And then I had a slew of producers that ended up with Jake Scott, actually, as our producer there in the tail end, which was awesome. And so that was fun. You remember that, Scotty? I think I scared you.
It was a bit much. It was, I mean, here's the thing. Going from Gordon and Bowler, which is just like, hey, let's just show up. Are the mics working? Great. Okay, we're good. And then what do you want to talk about? We'll figure it out. It's all right. And then Kevin, it was a little bit of a shift, and it took a little getting used to. And so
college.
And so Ryan Hatch is like, I think it's probably in everybody's best interest if we maybe have you guys work together or work with each other, but not on the same show. So that might be for the best. The interesting thing, though, and I really so when everything came together, and I know we're going down memory lane here on Utah Sports Radio. But in, what was it? I guess 2012 is when the Jazz acquired the 1280. And so the 1280 came under the Jazz umbrella. And at that point, the license of the zone was up for renewal with the FCC. And it happens every 10 years. It's a major pain in the butt. It's not fun to go through. And Randy Rogers was our new GM. And so he's having me go through all these files. And so I'm going through the public file of the zone, and I'm seeing, well, there's a Kevin Graham apology. There's a Kevin Graham apology. There's Kevin Graham apologizing for Hans and Lund. There's another one. There's another one. I'm like, holy cow. Like, I'd leave you guys for a few years and all hell broke loose.
We had a lot of fun. Yeah, the FCC, they are a pain. There's no question about that. But yeah, we had a nice little run there. Yeah, and then I left again for a couple of years, and then came back, and then wrapped it up on 1320 KFan. RIP, by the way. That's now I think a home development or something. The station doesn't even exist anymore. Yeah. I think they literally KFan, and you know, I'm not taking credit for this. Ben Anderson was working for me at that point, one of my producers, along with the late great Will Smith, R.I.P. For Will, obviously, and yeah, KFan went completely. We went down. Yeah.
When you end up losing your job and you're like, well, okay, am I getting replaced by somebody? But no, we're actually selling the transmitter site for apartment complexes.
I know. I want to say that happened a few years after I left.
Yes,
but yeah, they exactly did. When the land is worth more than the actual tower that the radio comes out of in the radio station, not a good thing usually. Yeah, not a positive. And hence, for those that are older that have grown up on Utah Sports Radio, you would remember 1320 KFan, and it's ups and downs, but it was a legendary station with a lot of legendary people, including yourself. But you know what? I'm just excited. Thanks, Scotty, for letting me be your friend. Same to you, Lloyd. I'm enjoying this, and I'm excited to talk. I've always keep an eye on this place. Everyone asks me whenever, because I moved so many times in my radio career, way too many, and obviously lost a wife in the middle of all that. I got divorced and all that. That's ended up why I had to leave the last time. And in the end, everyone asks me, where's your favorite place? And it's obviously Salt Lake. I mean, heck, I've been there 3 different times. So, like, there's no doubt the people, the environment, the sports scene does not get enough credit. I used to preach that in every market I've been in. It's overlooked. It's underappreciated. And not even get, like, it befuddles me when I see these lists of, like, top sports radio shows in the country never see anybody from Salt Lake in there, which is a bunch of garbage because there's so much talent that's come from that market and so much talent that's stayed in that market, including yourself and Hans and obviously Jake and Ben and DJ and PK and, and others, throughout. So, yeah, I mean, we had a lot of talent in Utah, and so thanks for letting me come on and spout all the things that we have going on. And by the way, we're losing 1-0 in hockey, and that does not make me happy right now.
Yeah, Barrett, hey, by the way, Barrett, take your lists and you can stick them somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You know what? Part of it's I'll talk to you off there, Scotty. There's a game we could play with that to help get some rankings.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay.
All right.
We can play there. So, but yeah, come on, USA Women. We cannot lose to the evil Canadians.
No.
And by the way, before it got political, I used to always rip on Canada because I grew up I spent my high school and college years in Detroit, and Detroiters bash on Canada on a regular basis. So I just want to go on record to say that.
Well, look, it is America's hat, and we certainly enjoy beating up on the Canadians. But come on, women, you have to pull your weight here. You just can't wait for the men to do their thing.
No.
I'm trying to lead you down the path. I'm really trying to lead you because I know you want to go. I know it. I know you want to go. All right.
Don't go down the path with them.
Well, yeah, that's true. I got to nudge him to water and then back away. Yeah.
Scott, you don't want this show to become just friends. You want to keep your name on the show, okay? All right? That's what you want, all right? If the show tomorrow is, all right, Hans Olsen goes over and Scotty G, well, yeah.
He's no longer with us.
Welcome to Friends with Lloyd Cole. Here we go.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, you just play the, the sitcom TV show theme song, and it's like, all right, we're just going to throw a bunch of people in here. Let's do it.
Exactly. Like we used to do back in the day with Red and the Blue Show and all that other fun stuff.
Oh, yes. Wow, yeah. All right. Hey, we got a lot to get to on the program. Yeah. I'm really fired up because, again, we joke, but, Kevin, you've kept your fingerprints on this market for a long time. You know a lot about what's going on here, but it has turned around in a big way, and including BYU leading the world in NIL money, but yet not quite getting the result that they would have hoped. Let's kick it off. Starting lineup right now.
It's time to kick off the show with the biggest headlines of the day. This is your starting lineup on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
So BYU suffers another loss, snapping their 2-game winning streak. They go to Tucson and lose to Arizona, which, okay, not a big surprise that that BYU lost that game. But here's the thing, if you're BYU, and I've been saying this for a long time, you dump that kind of money, one of the highest payrolls in all of college athletics, and you need to have the depth to be able to withstand a significant injury. Now, I know, Richie Saunders, big injury, but still, when you're paying that kind of money, you need to be able to make sure you can overcome something like that. And for BYU to be struggling at the point that they are in this portion of the season, frankly, Kevin, it's a no-go, and it's kind of unacceptable.
Well, I would agree, but it also shows you're not a blue blood yet. You know, I mean, teams like Kansas and Duke and North Carolina, you know, and those schools, they have depth because they're blue bloods. They're the schools that and heck, they were paying players before NIL actually came into play. So they're already used to this. So they have the depth. BYU is just not there yet. Yeah, you could throw $7 million at DeBanza and bring him in, and he's a generational talent, and there's no doubt about that. But you only get 1 year out of him, and you better have players surrounding him to replace the likes of Saunders. And look, Saunders, that's a tough one. I mean, he's a heart and soul. A lot of teams would be in trouble if they lost a player like that, a guy that was a leader, a guy that had experience, a guy that essentially can do it all. It was grit, a guy that these younger players can look to lead you. And you lose that, and that's tough, but you're 100% right. And watching that game last night, you could just see it. I mean, particularly in the first half, I mean, it was DeBanza and Wright. I mean, those were the two. I mean, and then second half comes, and unfortunately, Wright disappears. You know, he had 11 in the first half. He only had 2 in the second half. He gets shut down. So now who you're left? You're with DeBanza. And that's all you got, really, at that point, until Davis started to heat up towards the end. And BYU, to their credit, They kept fighting, much like they did in the first game against Arizona when they were way behind and they came back and made the game close. But you're 100% right. There's no depth there. And outside of those 3 players that got double figures, and DeBanza, Wright, and Davis, the 7 other players combined for just 12 points, Scotty. I mean, you can't get that done. And out of that 12, Keita showed up and had 6 points and 9 rebounds. But you're not going to win that way. And you also saw the difference in playing Arizona, because Arizona is missing one of their leaders. Yeah. I mean, he's a freshman, but you know he's a really, really good player in Coda. So he's out. And so what's Arizona do, though? They have the depth to spread the ball around and to make it happen. And so as Coa's out, you know, the 2 leading scorers for Arizona last night, Scotty, were players that don't even average double figures going into the game. You had Del Orso coming off the bench, had 22 points, basically a career game, hit threes like crazy, 4 of 8. And then Karchenikov had 18 points. He was coming in the game averaging 9.5 a game. And then the other players that do average mid-double figures had 10, 11 points. But they were able to have other players step up and overcome the injury situation and be able to get the job done. And unfortunately for BYU fans, I know everyone was worried and they were sad, and I was listening to DJ PK, and they're trying to make this positive and they can rally and all that. I don't see it. I mean, you got a month or less than a month now to get it together before the Big 12 tourney and then going into the NCAA tournament, but they're going to have to figure some things out. And at least if you judge from just one game so far, it's not pretty.
Well, and you've got Iowa State coming in this weekend, and Iowa State's got it rolling. So, now, look, the Marriott Center can overcome a lot of deficiencies, but let's just say straight up, Iowa State probably wins that game. Then you can reel off a few games with Central Florida, West Virginia, Cincinnati. You should, even with the injuries that you're dealing with, should go 3-0 in that stretch. Texas Tech has Toppin out with a ACL injury, so who knows how that thing plays out. It will be in the Marriott Center. So you'll have a chance to rack up some wins. And depending on what you do in the Big 12 tournament, you're still a decent seed in the tournament. But instead of being a 2 or 3 seed, which I think we spent a lot of the season anticipating BYU would be in that mix, now you're looking at 6, 7, 8 range, and you're not going you're not making it past the first weekend with those seeds. You're just not, because you're running into the 2 seed or the 1 seed in the next round, and then you're going to get bounced. And for BYU fans that spent all winter leading up to this and thinking to themselves, all right, Final Four, here we go. Elite 8, bare minimum, Elite 8. Anything less than Elite 8 is a complete failure. Well, guess what? It's going to be, you're not going to the Elite Eight this year. It ain't happening. And you're probably not going to the Sweet 16. And it's a shame because you've got talent on this team, but you don't have depth. And that is really where where BYU's got to learn how to invest and find a way to spread the wealth a little bit and amp up things, because this NBA model that Kevin Young wants can be effective and it can work when you do have guys like A.J. DeBonsa. But you also have to have the supporting cast. Look at the NBA right now. NBA is now going to a one-star and then have a bunch of cast of characters that can really fill the void, instead of having the massive team with three players and then nobody else on the team. Teams are winning now with just one big guy. Look at Oklahoma City. You got Shea, and then you got a bunch of really good players around him. You can do that in the college ranks. You can have that DeBonsa. But you know what? You got to have a bunch of really good players around him.
Yeah, and I think you're 100% right on that. And I think the other problem you have is, I mean, look, if I'm a BYU fan right now, I'm going to say, look, you have DeBonsa.
Yes.
I mean, you have a generational talent. You kick back, and you can listen to Scotty and I are writing BYU off, but you can say, okay, this player is great. You don't know when you're going to get another one like him. So enjoy the ride and hope a DeBonsa can pull off what Jimmer Fredette did when he was with BYU and Davies was gone. But the problem with that is Jimmer Fredette was a senior, and he had the ability and the leadership and the ability to take the team to another level, where DeBonsa's really, really good. There's no question there. But you're right. He doesn't have the supporting cast around him. Although, I mean, I do – with that said, I think you got the two players, all right? I mean, Wright just went off in the second half. He just had an off game and just wasn't a factor in the second half. You do have two players that can contribute, but you need both those guys being at the top of their game, because you could just see clearly that they don't have anybody else that can really step up and be a threat. And that's a problem, and have that depth. And so you're 100% right. And then going forward – look, you're going to have a lot of cap space if you want to play the NBA game. You're going to have $7 million or $5 million, whatever it is that BYU's paying them with NIL. Maybe you spread the money around a little differently, and maybe you find a couple really good players for $2 million each or $3 million each, and then kind of go from there possibly, so you can kind of build the roster around it, or just find more money and still pay a player $5 to $7 million and just pay everybody else more money and build your program that way. But you're right. And I think the Iowa State game is the biggest one, Scotty, because Iowa State is coming off a huge win over number 2 Houston. You got them at home. If you want to still show the committee, the people that are going to make these judgments on the NCAA tournament and seeding and whatnot, you need to win that game. Unfortunately, Texas Tech at the end of the season would have been another one, but with Toppin out, they're not going to get the credit they need if they do go out and beat Texas Tech without him. I mean, reigning Big 12 Player of the Year and favorite for Big 12 Player of the Year this year as well. So I think the end game is they really got to go out and they got to beat Iowa State. It's not going to be a gimme, by the way, on these other teams, although give props. I'm going to clap for Alex Jensen beating my home state, West Virginia Mountaineers, last night. I mean, they were up 18-3 to begin that game. I mean, I was kind of flicking back and forth a little bit. I'm like, wow. And they were able to hold on in the end and get the win. So with that said, yes, you should beat West Virginia, but you're going to go on the road to do it. And West Virginia, I'm sure, is going to bounce back a little bit. I mean, they're fighting for their tournament lives as well. So, the Iowa State game, I think this is the game of the year for them. I mean, they have to win this game at home. They got to figure out everything here in just a couple days and be a different team. And maybe they will be getting in front of their fans and the rowdy crowd. But in the end, they really need to win that game. And to your point, it's going to just be an uphill climb for them. And it sucks because you do have such high expectations. You didn't realize Saunders, obviously. You don't expect injuries. You don't plan for injuries. But you have to adapt and change up when those injuries happen. But if you don't have the talent sitting there, it's just not going to happen.
So I was talking to a coach about this Wild West we're living in, especially in college basketball, even more so than football, where, that transfer portal hits. And make no mistake, the guys are laying the groundwork way before the transfer portal window opens. So, there's tampering going on like crazy. And everybody just accepts it. It's almost like a, honor amongst thieves. You just know what's going on, so everybody just does it because you got to keep pace with everybody else. So it's going on, and you're laying the groundwork. But when that transfer portal window opens and you've got all these kind of offers coming in, you've got to throw money around very quickly. It's like, Kevin, in the 20 cities you've lived in, you've bought a lot of houses. And
Yeah, I have.
and sometimes, when there's a bidding war for a house, you got to go in with your best offer and hope that the basement's not flooded. You got to hope that things are going to be okay in that house because it's the perfect neighborhood, it's the right size, it's right next to the schools you want. And so you go all in and you're like, okay, if we got to do a gut job, we'll figure it out later, but we got to get this house right now. And a lot of these coaches don't have the time to really do a lot of vetting. And by the way, I'm not saying that there's any character issues with BYU, but all I'm saying is it's tough to develop chemistry when you're reworking your roster every year and you're grabbing guys that you're not quite sure how these guys are going to play together. They may be great guys, but sometimes guys just don't mesh together out on the court together. Some guys just don't play off each other the right way. And it's no disrespect to anybody or any coaching or anything like that. It's just sometimes it doesn't mesh and there's not that connectivity that you want when you have to go all in so quickly and beat everybody else to the punch and sometimes overpay to make sure you get them. It's really difficult to do your homework and your due diligence and just kind of figure out, okay, how is this guy going to play with this guy? How is this lineup going to work together? What will we do here? How does this play together? And those are things guys don't really have time to work. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
And remind me, because getting old, I can't remember what I did yesterday, but wasn't last year in the tournament, wasn't the theme there for a bit that the teams that had players that stayed in the program or were within that program for 3 or 4 years were the teams that actually were doing better in the tournament? Am I right or wrong on that?
I believe so, yeah.
Wasn't Florida? I'm trying to remember this. I thought that was a theme of the tourney last year, and I think. I think everything's changed so much. But I think you've got to find that balance. You got to find that balance of players that, they may not be NBA level players, but they're going to be really good college basketball players. And those are the players who are going to stick with you for maybe 3 or 4 years. And then on the flip, if you have an opportunity to get a star quality like player, then yeah, you go and grab that player and you ride him for a year or so. But this is the danger of it all. I remember, I think I went on with DJ and PK. We talk football on Fridays, and we were talking, obviously, college basketball for a little bit. And that's the danger you have now with these programs like a BYU, where you just go all in on a star player like DeBonza. And look, it's fun to watch him play. I mean,
yeah.
You're gonna watch him in the NBA, and he's gonna be again, knock on wood, as long as he stays healthy and whatnot. He's gonna be a multi-year all-star. He may win titles depending on where he goes and how things operate and how he continues to develop his game. And it's great to have that player, but man, it's one and done. And when you have an injury like this, it really is just it's a gut punch. Like, it just sucks because you have such high expectations, and then you lose a player that I think should have a solid NBA career in Richie Saunders. We'll wait and see, and hopefully he'll recover from the ACL well and do that. But when you lose that guy who kind of keeps the team together, it hurts. And if you don't have that, and if you just don't have the bench like you've talked about and we were talking about earlier, it's hard to recover. It's just a whole new world, and that's the thing that has just changed so much. And I do yearn, and I think us old people do yearn for the old days of teams staying together, so you can build a program. And I bet coaches, I think a lot of coaches yearn for those days as well. But here's the world we're in right now. And if BYU wants to be among the elite, they have to play both sides. They have to still get the stars when they feel like they can get them, but you got to build some depth, and you got to build a roster with some players that are going to be around a while as well to keep that cohesiveness going, so you can be a great team and a contender year in and year out, particularly in the Big 12 when it's by far, you can argue along with the Big 10, the best basketball conference in the country.
So coming up next, we're going to hop in the DeLorean and go back to 2013, the last time Kevin Graham was in the market doing sports radio, and just tell a young Kevin Graham 13 years ago what the world's going to look like in 2026, and how surprised would he be if he saw these coaching staffs right now at Utah, BYU, and even Utah State. Kevin Graham hanging out with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This segment brought to you by University of Utah Health, for you, for life. Kevin Graham, the great Kevin Graham, Or as what Jake Scott calls you, the little ball of anger, little ball of hate.
Storm Cloud was another one I used to get. Yeah. So, well, I'm storm clouding right now because the ladies, the United States of America women's hockey team, is not playing very well right now. They're down 1-0, and they're thoroughly getting out hustled and basically out physicaled and everything else. They got to get it together here, man. We cannot lose to the Canadians.
You don't want to lose to the Canadians, especially didn't we win gold in women's hockey? We usually win gold in this.
Dude, we beat them 5-0 like a week or two ago.
Oh,
but you know what? The Canadians. See, what I love about us beating Canada in hockey, that's their sport. I mean, obviously, hockey is everything to them, and so we can't let the Canadians be happy. I mean, they're happy people by general and nature. I mean, they actually are pretty happy people. But I do like to. Oh, okay, we just missed a shot. I do like giving them a lot of flack. So
hey, I enjoy a good Tim Horton donut as much as anybody, but at the end of the day, we gotta take care of business here.
The only good thing about Canada, and for those that maybe partake in alcoholic beverages from time to time, you got 21 obviously is the age where you can start legally drinking. Well, when you were in the Detroit area back in the day, you would get 2 drinking monument, because in Windsor, Canada, which is right across the river from Detroit, the drinking age was 19. So when you would turn 19, this is even before you needed passports to get to Canada. You just go over the bridge at the tunnel and into Canada you go, and woo, off you go, And then, of course, you would get 21 as well. So that was the only good thing Canada was good for. But otherwise, it's a vast wasteland of ice, and we can't lose.
Didn't you tell me that when the Super Bowl was in Detroit that Windsor, Canada was like the scene of all the debauchery?
Yeah, there's another thing you would say about Windsor is they had casinos before Detroit started putting casinos in, and they also were very well known for their Windsor Ballet is what they would call it, and you can use your imagination of what the Windsor Ballet could be. So yeah, it definitely Canada is the place where. In fact, if you talk to Canadians, they say Windsor is the pit hole of their entire country.
Oh, it's their Vegas, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but anyways, we got to get it together, though. We cannot lose to them.
Well, we don't have a lot of time here. It's counting down. 20 seconds left.
Oh.
And this thing.
Oh, yes. Oh, second period at least.
Oh, is this second? Oh, I thought it was third period.
Yeah. Don't scare me like that. We have 6. Yeah. So it's okay. We got time. The ladies, they will prevail. I'm telling you. I believe in the United States of America.
Well, okay. So you and I grew up in the middle of the the tail end of the Cold War, and. Yeah. And the Olympics mattered then because it was us and the Soviet Unions. Like, you hated everything that had the USSR on it.
Oh, yeah.
Because you felt like, and we all watched Red Dawn, you felt like the Soviets were going to invade and cause World War III at any given moment, so you hated them. Now there's it's hard to find somebody to hate now.
Yeah, no, Russia's not in the Olympics, so you're right. I mean, so we got to turn our attention to Canada. So, I mean, Norway's like dominating the Olympics right now. That's because the only mode of transportation in Norway is cross-country skiing, and they've won like every gold in cross-country skiing because that's all they do. That's how they get around.
Yeah, that's their transportation.
For like 11 months out of the year, everybody's on cross-country skis. So we really, Norway doesn't count, and they're Norway. So yeah, we have to Canada. And you're exactly right. Like, I remember, I think you were talking about this yesterday, Scotty, if I was listening to you and just catching up and how things were going back there. And I remember where I was when the U.S. beat the USSR in hockey, like the Miracle on Ice. Like, I know exactly where I was. I was at Derek Ross's house. I haven't talked to him since I was in 6th grade, 7th grade. I know watching that game, freaking out, like it was like the greatest win in the history of our country. And then we beat West Germany is who we beat for the actually gold medal, because at the time, everyone thinks you won the gold with USSR.
Yeah.
No, you still had to win one more game to get the gold. So yeah, I mean, that was the peak of the Olympics there, when you had a mortal enemy that you were trying to beat, that you thought was going to push a button and destroy you and eliminate you from the earth at any moment. Yeah, that's passion right there.
Yeah, kids these days, they have no idea.
That's right. They don't remember the tuck and roll.
Yeah.
They don't remember any of that stuff.
No, hiding under your desk for a nuclear fallout.
Yeah, exactly. Because that wooden classroom desk is going to save you from a nuclear weapon to take you down. Just put your pencil up. You're going to be okay, kids. You're going to be all right. You're not going to dissolve.
You'll be part of the post-apocalyptic world. You'll be fine. Oh, jeez.
Yep, that's good. I've already brought your show down.
All right, you know what?
Friends tomorrow.
I love it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
so here's the thing. I want you and I were talking this morning, and it's been a minute since you've been on the radio here in Utah. And the last time, this blew me away. The last time you were on the radio here, Bronco Mendenhall was the head coach at BYU. Kalani Sitake was the defensive coordinator at the University of Utah. Gary Anderson was the head coach up at Utah State. And everything just was right in the world. You knew you had Bronco at BYU. Kyle was at Utah, and you just knew what to expect year in and year out. Now Bronco steps away, and Kalani Sitake takes over. And then we had, we talk about, World War III. You had like that mutually assured destruction between these two that you knew where everybody stood, and nobody really got too out of hand because you knew the other one was going to rise up at any given moment. And it was just a nice back and forth, and Utah hated BYU. BYU hated Utah. And then all of a sudden, Kyle Whittingham has to go pull the grenade, throw it into the room, and boom, the whole thing explodes. You've done sports radio in Utah. You've seen some of the monumental moments. I'm telling you that what we've seen in the college football landscape here in terms of coaching staffs is unlike anything I've seen in sports radio in Utah in terms of creating great content, by the way, in the last 20 years.
Oh, I'm so jealous, by the way, of what you guys get to deal with as you come this fall. I mean, and you got to remember, Whittingham and Bronco, their careers mirroring each other because they were hired at the same time.
Yes.
So they were 9 years in back in 2013. When I left the last time from Salt Lake, and of course at that point Utah was, I believe, entering year 3 of being in the Pac-12, and they had just come off a 5-7 year, and they ended up having another 5-7 years. So I'm assuming at that point, Whittingham was getting a little heat as they were making the adjustments to the Pac-12, and of course BYU was in no man's independence land. As they were really just in year 2 of independence, winning games. I think Taysom Hill, that was the Taysom Hill era was starting at that point for BYU, and yeah, so everything was, and BYU had already done their 5-year run of going to Las Vegas Bowl every year, because I remember I had to go to Vegas for 5 straight years, and that was not good for me. And so, but now we flip, and it is crazy, and it's pretty clear Whittingham got ticked off at Utah, and you guys, I'm sure, have talked about this ad nauseum and the whole deal. I have a different angle just because I have a lot of connections in Michigan. I mean, right now, Scotty, if you could see me, I am in a Michigan hoodie. And I was not a Michigan fan when I lived in Detroit in high school because Michigan fans are arrogant. My brother became a Michigan fan, my little brother, so of course I'm not going to root for the team that he roots for. But when one of my daughters got into the University of Michigan, which is an outstanding academic institution, one of the best public schools, in the country. So very proud of her. I was not smart enough to get into Michigan. And B, you start writing checks to Michigan, a lot of checks.
And by the way,
Michigan.
Significantly high checks too. Like not the quantity, but the quality of those checks.
Yeah. Oh, even an in-state tuition that my daughter had was not cheap. I mean, it was not cheap. So suddenly I'm like, well, if I'm going to pay money for this school, I'm going to root for this school. And then actually, for the first time in my life, I have a team that actually wins. Or granted, they've cheated their way. So when Whittingham came up, and I remember going on with DJ and PK during this past football season, and they were making the case for Whittingham to go to Michigan. And I was kind of making the case that, I don't know, and this is even before, the rumor really hit. Because Michigan, Sharon Moore went, he lost his mind. And so, and loses his job, which actually is probably the best thing that could happen to Michigan. And this is even before Whittingham's name was really circulating, and DJ and PK were ahead of it. And I'm like, man, I don't know. You're going into a different world when you go to Michigan. You got the politics of the University of Michigan you have to deal with. If you're not a Michigan man, typically, I mean, you saw Rich Rod. He got run right out of Ann Arbor because he couldn't handle what that program is and what it means and the history. And so when Whittingham actually got hired, and the rumors really certainly got hired, it was like, whoa, all right, Whittingham is actually doing this. And so on one end, obviously, what it does for the University of Utah program, we've seen the dominoes fall with that, clearly, with Morgan Scalley now jumping in there, and then Whittingham just going crazy and taking pretty much the entire offensive coaching staff, and I don't know how many players he's grabbed from the University of Utah to go there. You got that angle, but then you got to look at Whittingham now going to the U of M. Now, for Utah fans that are ticked at Whittingham for taking coaches and doing all that, stop that.
Yes.
Okay? You have to stop. You have to stop that because you got to – when Whittingham goes, and if you're going to go to a program like Michigan, you got to have trusted people around you. You have to have coaches that you have to have people that have your back because again you're going into a whole different world. This isn't you're not at a program that's going to put a statue up outside. One coach is that's Bo Schembechler, who back in the day was winning titles and Big Ten titles. That's all you had to do back in the day is win Big Ten titles and go to the Rose Bowl. You're not like at Utah where you are a legend, and Whittingham should get a statue outside that stadium. He should. He's done that much for the program there. But now you are at Michigan, and so you need whoever you're familiar with and great coaches that are going to have your back and are going to be able to do what you need necessary to rebuild a program. Now, what Whittingham is going into is a really good spot because that university is totally humiliated and embarrassed by not only Moore did, but obviously the cheating that went on around Harbaugh's era and all that. So that's one. Taking players, again, all coaches are taking players everywhere. So you can't get mad at them for that, too. I mean, you just can't. If you want to get mad at anybody, you got to get mad at Utah for whatever they did to piss off Whittingham to have him leave to go to Michigan. Like, that's to me is the basic, simple premise of what happened there. So Whittingham now is at Michigan. I mean, it's going to be fun for me because, and you and everybody, we've all, have analyzed and talked Utah football, the good and the bad of Whittingham. And, now as I'm, quote, unquote, a fan, it's going to be a blast for me to sit there and watch this program and see if trends happen at Utah. Is it going to be – obviously they're going to be tough defensively. Michigan's already known for their defense. Offensively, Will Beck, it took Whittingham, his entire coaching career to find the right offensive coordinator. He went through like 30 – what coach has co-offensive coordinators? Whittingham did that, twice or something like that? So, what are they going to do in the offense? Is Beck going to be the one to actually take this kid, Bryce Underwood, who, by the way, is the version of DeBonza because he's getting paid millions, and you're stuck with him for at least another year or two. He did not look that great this past year, by the way. Word is, and I have tons of people in that program and tons of fans that are friends of mine that are high donors in that program and all that tell me that the family of Underwood's got a lot of play. Like after that Oklahoma loss last year, for instance, apparently Underwood's family went ballistic because they wouldn't unleash Underwood. They were too conservative in that game against Oklahoma last year in which Michigan lost on the road. And so guess what happens? The next week, which turned out to, by the way, I was at that game because I was there for my Central Michigan Chippewas, being a proud, Fire Up Chips alum. Michigan went out and just beat the living out of Central, 60-something to 3. I was there at the big house for that game. That was a lot of fun. But with that said, you got that dynamic you got to deal with. So you're on a higher level there. And week in and week out, you got to battle. There's not that many pushovers in Michigan. The lower end, the Purdue's of the world, Rutgers, some of those teams, yes, if they're on your schedule. But you are not only judged by those wins, and you have to win. You lose that game, you're in trouble right off the bat. Fans they will freak out. But then you got to, the Penn States, the Ohio States, Indiana now, obviously, which is the cream of the crop, which is crazy, me growing up in the Big Ten, to see how good they are in winning national titles now. But it's a beast. It's a beast of a conference. I'm not overdoing it, because obviously people want to have pride in the West Coast football and the Pac-12. Look, Pac-12 is nothing compared to what the Big Ten is week in and week out, at least now, obviously, because all the good teams from the Pac-12 are in the Big Ten. So it's a beast. And so Whittingham is literally, he's got to have his people. He's got to have his athletes there. He's got to hope that Beck transforms Underwood, because if not, he's only going to be there 2 or 3 years and he's going to be out the door and get fired, because that's just the way that program is. Then you flip, and now Morgan Scalley, obviously, you got a first-time head coach. He was crowned to be the head coach, so this was going to happen no matter what. Eventually, no one, of course, no one thought that Whittingham would actually leave to another program. But whatever the case is, now on the positive front, Morgan Scalley now has to put his foot in and lay his footprint on this program. You're going to have to, as U fans, you got to have faith in him. And look, he's sharp. I remember Morgan when he first got out of college. He was doing the Red and Blue show on 1280 The Zone. He was smart then. He was I consider him a kid still. He was good. I mean, the story I told to this day, though, my memory of Morgan, and this is why I have to get this out of my brain as a head coach at University of Utah, was the BYU-Utah game when Brett Ratliff was starting quarterback for Utah. He had to come in because the starting quarterback got hurt for the Utes. BYU was favored in that game. The Utes went out, won the game. Everybody was predicting BYU to win. Morgan was on the air at that point in time as well. So the game ends. I'm down on the field ready to go get interviews and whatnot. And who comes running up to me in his University of Utah Letterman's jacket but Morgan Scalley yelling in my face, "How about them apples, Graham? How about them apples?" And then he just takes off running. And I'm like, oh, man.
Oh, boy.
And that's my memory of your head coach, Ute fans. But anyways, to that point, he's sharp. But you know what? He's a first-time head coach, and TJ and PK were talking about this morning. Like he was on a podcast recently, and I think it was PK talking about it, and he was saying that already Scalley's admitted, look, yeah, I mean, I'm already dealing with stuff that is above what I that I've dealt with before. I mean, clearly finding a whole new coaching staff, or at least offensive coaching staff, and other pieces of the puzzle. So there's going to be there's going to be a learning curve to it. I mean, there's no question to him, but they have a shot. Like, I mean, it's still Utah football. They still have a good foundation, and you just got to hope that Morgan's going to take it to another level. And then Kalani's, done his time, man. He's built it, and now. The thing you could tell me that's different, Scotty, big time, that I would never believe, that from 2013 to now, I'm not surprised so much that players are paid. I'm so surprised that BYU is kicking millions of dollars into this. That is one thing that if you would have told me the Kevin Graham of 2013, being on the air in Salt Lake City, that in 2026 BYU would be shelling out millions of dollars to athletes to play for their school, that's something that I think I wouldn't believe.
A school that has been traditionally known for being frugal and to now spending money like a drunken sailor. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's different.
Look at you.
Doubt.
Look at you already blowing through Lloyd's clock, too. That was impressive. You've already got on Lloyd's bad side.
All right, good. Well, you know what? It only took 50 minutes,
so
I'm good. So. How we doing? I've been paying attention to the game. Where are we?
It hasn't started yet. Third period, there's still an intermission. That's the one thing I've always had that we're having a hard time adjusting to with hockey. It's like, okay, we understand you're taking 2 breaks, but can we tighten it up a little bit in between,
Yep, I hear you.
Come on.
I hear you.
Let's speed it up a bit. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. That's Kevin Graham. I'm Scott Gerard. Andy Bailey's going to join us coming up at 105. Oh, I cannot wait to hear Kevin's thoughts about tanking. We'll get to that coming up a little bit later on as well. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This guy actually has friends.
Nice.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I said on Twitter before this horse wanted to run, and that certainly has been the case.
I got to pace myself, though. This is a long-distance race. This isn't like a sprint.
Yeah, this isn't a
this is a marathon.
Yeah, this isn't a 5K fun run.
Oh man, I know. I'm going to hit the wall here soon and be like, okay.
We got 2 more hours of this.
You know what I need? I need the U.S. women's team to win, just so I can be excited for our country. That's what I need.
You know what? And that's the thing. I don't care about curling. I don't care about figure skating. I don't care, but hockey. Come on, that's all we're here for. That's all you're there is just to win gold in hockey. So make it happen.
I agree. I agree on that. Speaking of gold, by the way, and I know you. You're the voice of the Aggies, which, by the way, are they as good as they? Are they? I tried to stay up late last night to watch the Aggies game. Are they as good as?
You know what, Lloyd? This is what I missed about Kevin. Is even when he's trying to be positive, he's got that condescending tone to him. He's like, I know you're the.
I mean it.
I know you're the voice of the Aggies.
Are you still doing that play-by-play thing?
He's still pretending to be like a play-by-play guy for that university.
Dude, I think it's great. It's your school. I mean, you went to that school. As far as we know, you graduated from there. And so, I mean, so as far as we know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to dig too much into the transcripts. Let's just go with it.
Okay.
But
right.
no, hey, look, they put it on Penny Hardaway's Memphis team. They put it on Boise State. They're 23-3, 13-2. They're right now really in a good spot for at-large. Their computer numbers are outstanding. In fact, Ken Pomeroy's got them ranked 23rd. So, look, they're in a great spot to get into the NCAA tournament. Now it's just about making some noise when you get there. And that's look, a couple of years ago, they finally got a win in the first round. But now, look, you've got some talent. You got some horses on that team. They spent some money. They're investing into that program. So now it's time to see, pay the dividends. We talked about BYU. Hey, they want to see an ROI. Same thing with Utah State as well.
Yeah, and the thing I remember about the Utah State, Stu Morrill, obviously, when he was the coach there, you'd get really good Aggie teams, they get in that tourney, but then they would not get a great seed, and then they would get bounced in the first round. So to me, that's the question about the Aggies. And if you're telling me that they're 23, I mean, aren't they like only one spot behind BYU and Ken Palm's numbers? So
Ken Palm's got BYU at 22, Utah State at 23. And don't think for a moment Ken Pomeroy is not smiling when he sees that number, those numbers go out, because he knows what moves the meter here.
Yeah, so if Utah State can get a good seed, and they do finally, they got that one win, as you said, a couple years ago in the tourney. So, I mean, that's what I want to see. Obviously a Utah State program, you're not looking at them to win win the championship, but they can get if they win one game and then somehow get whether they're, if it's an upset or if their seed's high enough where it's not an upset in the second round, depending on how it plays out. I mean, Sweet 16 would be fun.
Oh, geez.
So, look, you'd have a good time.
I would have a great time. I mean, it was on my bucket list just to call a win in the NCAA tournament. Like, I just wanted one. And now I got that. Hey, let's get greedy. Let's go Sweet 16. Because, look, here's the thing, Kevin. I'm in my 9th year calling games for Utah State. This is Jared Calhoun is my 5th basketball coach.
Wow.
My Bronco Mendenhall is my 4th football coach. But you look at basketball, a lot of people say, okay, what is it about Utah State? Because they keep going to the NCAA tournament. They keep winning 20-plus games, conference championships. And they're like, how do they do it? What's the common element between all these coaches? And I say, it's me. I'm the one. So if you want to
you're going to have your 6th coach next year, I think.
If you want to know why Utah State is so consistently good in basketball, it's their play-by-play guy.
That's exactly it.
That's
yes,
the one
100%.
thing that's the one thing that ties it all together.
100%. Boy, I'm going to download I'm going to. You know what? I already have the KSL Sports Zone app, so I'm going to listen to you, Scotty, here for the rest of the season. I'm going to root for the Aggies.
And there's that condescending tone again.
Not true.
Kevin Graham joining us. He'll be on the air for another couple hours. You never know what's going to happen with KG. It's so good to have him back on the radio. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.